Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you're listening to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat today for what we have, what is going to be an amazing show for you. In fact, what we have is an amazing guest, Miss Leslie Ann Morris. Leslie, thank you so much for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
So, Leslie, so I don't take and mess it up, why don't you tell everybody what it is you do?
A lot of things. And it's all in the world of the wonderful wide world. If you're not ready, there's an explosion coming, and it's all about cabins.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually loved cabins when I was a little girl. I grew up in very rural Northern California. And then in my early 20s, I traveled all over the world and I stayed in a lot of cabins, and I had no idea it was going to turn into this amazing career. So basically, I know, it's just nuts. I was in banking. I was a commercial banker for a long time. I was the banker for SpaceX for several years when I lived in Los Angeles. So I had a very awesome career in banking, and I kind of woke up one day and just thought, what else is out there? And I started buying cabins in the Smoky Mountains, which is Eastern Tennessee, and fell in love and ended up here in a roundabout way a few years later and bought more cabins. And then I ended up leaving banking in 2022, and I went full-time in some like hobby businesses that I'd created that are now growing rapidly. And those are an agent team where we help out-of-state investors build a life away from trading their time for money by, you guessed it, buying cabins in the Smoky Mountains. And then I also own another company that's full service property management, and we can manage it for them so that they can passively enjoy the cabin themselves and have an income stream. So
no, that is very much when it comes to that type of product, that hotel competitor type product of short-term rentals, that management component is so critical to have people that you trust, because that ranking on whatever service you're using to get those booked out in is such a fickle beast to tame. You get down in the rankings a little bit, and so you have to make sure, much more so than with long-term rentals, the previous tenant doesn't talk to the new tenant, they don't even know each other. Yeah. But this ability for tenants to go on, your guests to go on and effectively significantly potentially inhibit your ability to take and do future business means that the standards have to really be maintained. And so that property management thing, it's a very good niche to be in if you've got the people that take and really execute it. So that's awesome that you're doing that. Where do you think all the success came from for you?
I mean, I've kind of always been very driven, even as a young girl. I had big goals. I was creating little businesses here and there like my entire life. And this is the first thing that finally worked. And I think it's just because it kind of aligned a lot of things I was passionate about. I mean, if you think about my career as a banker, I did a lot of lending. So I knew a lot of commercial underwriting techniques. So I knew what it took to buy something and make sure it's going to cash flow and be able to not just pay for itself, but also make you money. So that was a big part. And then also cabins and travel. And now I find myself in the hospitality world, and I get it. I know what travelers want and how it should be set up so that they're happy. But yeah, I mean, I think just surrounding myself with the right people and just never taking no for an answer and just striving for that next thing, and just deciding I want it and going after it. I mean,
I love it. I wish my real estate agents got that, because there was a component in there that you talked about. You see, folks, the vast majority of real estate agents, when they do a deal with an investor, they're caring about that transaction ends when the closing occurs, as opposed to the banker who they're not done with that transaction until that loan is completely paid back. So that banker actually has a much tighter vested interest in that investor doing well and making money in that deal than the agents do. Their underwriting is based upon, if they get that wrong, they don't get their money back and their entire business model falls apart. And so if
Mhm.
agents would think more like that, if agents would be more concerned with making sure that the investor actually makes money in the deal rather than that they just got paid,
Mhm.
well, I think this world would be a better place, and this, at least real estate would be a better industry. So I love that, Leslie. That's great stuff.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
do
it's definitely, as an agent, it's a good way to set yourself apart from your competition. Because I had somebody say to me once, they're like, you must have big balls, big cojones for starting to work as an agent in the Smoky Mountain market. It's super competitive. And I said, well, I am completely different because, one, I'm not an agent, I'm an investor first and foremost. And
yeah,
two, I have this unique offering where I'm teaching them a skill that they're not going to learn somewhere else. They're not going to go be able to take an underwriting class when they're a 45-year-old doctor or lawyer, like buying investment property. So who am I? I'm the one at the front end, like spearheading this mission for them and creating this system. And I want repeat clients. If they buy something that for investment and they don't make money, they're not going to come back. So
oh my goodness. So this is again one just huge topic you've hit on. The thing that brings the customer to a real estate agent in the first place is that they don't know how to do the thing that they're asking they want to do a real estate transaction, but they don't have the skills necessary to do it. And
mhm,
agents don't really parlay that by making sure they genuinely know what the hell they're doing much better than the customer does. The customer comes in knowing slightly less than most agents. I mean, agents, what do they know different? They know the contract a little better and they know how to work the MLS better. But if that's what
mhm,
you're banking on, I'm sorry, that is imminently replaceable,
mhm,
incredibly replaceable. And so having a specialized skill set, the reason your customer is bringing you in is so that they don't have to learn how to do your job, right? And like you said, they want to be 45 years old doing their day job and then have to figure out how to do your job. So trading on the fact that, you know, there's these limited things that you know, as opposed to genuinely understanding your product and making sure that the gap between what they know and what you know is as far apart as it can possibly be. That's where the real job security comes from in this industry, knowing what the hell you're talking about.
mhm. Yeah, and I try to empower agents, or I do coach some agents as well, but primarily my buyers. Some of them are agents in other states, but I try to coach them so they can go take this skill and do it on another deal. Like, I don't do their underwriting for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's risk in that. There can be errors in Excel spreadsheets. They might not understand the pro forma, fancy term for the spreadsheet, how you're underwriting it. So I do classes. I do like a monthly class and then put it out on YouTube about how to do it themselves. I build it from scratch and teach them. It's not rocket science. You can do it on a napkin. And these are the things that bankers are looking for. These are the things I'm looking for when I take down a deal. So, if they decide this market's not for them, maybe they did pick up a skill for me. And, I'm better for it by sharing my knowledge. Obviously,
Absolutely.
I want the business. I want to make money, but
Yeah. Being generous is I think it's actually a better way to live life in general.
Mhm.
For me, I am all about the performa. I live the performa, but I'm a 10b2 on my cell phone app guy. I have the spreadsheet to cross check myself, but I do it all on my cell phone in the app.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it's at. You got to be able to do it in front of the customer right here and be that level of comfort with, oh yeah, no, this is what we're talking about right here. So I mean, I can go tighten it up back in the office, but in general, this is what we're looking at for, and the customer's sense of ease with your
Mhm.
understanding is 100% compounded by that. The fact that you know the numbers. If you, this is always a big thing for me, and I talk about it all the time. If you show them that you know your stuff cold and you make them feel like that you will genuinely look out for them and not let them make a mistake, well, guess what? You just gave them everything they want. That and don't be a jerk if they like you. If you give them those three things, you've absolutely hit the wheelhouse of what they want. Because if you're good at what you do and they feel like you're looking out for them,
Mhm.
then they don't have to look out for them. That takes that responsibility away from them. And all of a sudden, they stop asking you to cut commissions and do all sorts of things because they value what you bring to the table. It is a thing. So, what do you like best about what you do, Leslie?
It's something new every day. I
Oh my
mean,
God,
it's
yes.
fun. I mean, sometimes I'm in cabins and, somebody will hire me just to get my opinion on what do they do with the dang thing? Maybe it's not renting as well as it used to, or they know it's starting to get wear and tear. And so I walked through one just not too long ago that was full of rocking chairs. I was like, why are there so many there's rocking chair city? This thing probably had like, I don't know, 30 or 40 rocking chairs. Now the cabin does sleep like 32 people, but I don't know if they all need like their own
Do they
rocking chair.
all need rocking chair? Were you worried somebody wouldn't have a rocking chair when they wanted it? I mean,
Something like really bizarre like that was happening there. I'm not sure what. But just, fun stuff like that. And then when I'm over there, in the mountains looking at cabins, and there's black bears, and it's just cool and different. And I get to see something different all the time. And
oh my
I do
God.
have a team. I'm not physically in the market every single day of my life. So that makes it really nice to rely on them. But when I am there, I have a hell of a lot of
That's
fun.
awesome. I'll say two things because they came to mind as I'm listening to you, and just kind of the sense of wonder and enjoyment you have for that. There's a book, if you've never read it, called Undaunted Courage. And
Oh,
it is the basically the collection of Lewis and Clark's journals from when they went from east of the Mississippi all the way to the West Coast, and like the first folks, first Europeans, if you will, to see that part of the world, this and this untouched, just natural world that they saw. It is, if you like natural wonders and you want to hear it, people were very descriptive back in those days. Yeah, it really
awesome.
worthwhile read. It's super interesting too. I mean, all the different
Yeah.
people I met along the way and whatever else. But Undaunted Courage, really good book. And
Okay.
if you really want to see something that's just incredible, if you've never been, Alaska is like that and then some. I mean, it is just incredible. It's like, oh, bald eagle, bear, salmon jumping in the boat to just try to, there's so many salmon, they don't know what to do with themselves. I mean, it's just like crazy cool place. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you like the natural world, my recommendation.
Alaska is, yeah, I've stayed in cabins in Alaska.
Oh, there
It's
you go. Yeah, no,
it's
it's
part of
crazy.
like, yeah.
I mean, the Smokies are better because you're like close to other things. With Alaska, you're nowhere near anything.
Yeah, yeah, I was there for Christmas one year in
Oh
like
wow.
a big cabin lodge environment. You could just see wildlife out the big window, but it's just like coated in snow. I'm like, I'm inside.
Yeah. Oh no, no. Alaska in winter. Alaska in summer's not warm. So Alaska in
Mhm.
winter's got to be special. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think makes you good at this, Leslie?
I don't know. I have a fun time in life in general. I'm very outgoing. I'm a stranger to no one. I once put on a job resume back when I was in the corporate world, like the most outgoing person you'll ever meet. And I had a boss call me a little spark plug one time.
Oh
That
yeah.
always kind of stuck in my mind. But I don't know, I have such a good time, and I'm just, I don't know, making friends along the way and thinking of new ways to elevate my business and ways to add value to clients and guests. And it's just super fun.
Honestly, that would so go to on the resume going for LSP designated, little spark plug, right?
Yeah.
They designated me as a little spark. It's on the resume. What am I going to say? It's a thing. I
Yeah.
love it.
I think it was like we were in this meeting and it was one of those stuffy freaking conference rooms where there's like that long table and there's like a head at the end. And then, people are seated in the chairs and they're just looking out the window, longing to be out of this meeting, which could have been an email. And so
Yeah.
during that meeting, when it was my turn to present, because I was a banker then, and so I was presenting my client portfolio of, credits and stuff. I had a different spin on it and I was excited about it. And I was sharing like their growth story within their businesses. And I just stood out. I wasn't just there going through motions. I was like actually having a good time with it because, it's a couple hours of your life. You can't get out of it. Go there for the free donuts
You're
and
not
then,
getting it back anytime soon. So you might as well
yeah.
enjoy it.
So
That's such a thing, right? The idea of how you perceive things and,
totally.
getting your own self to buy in to what you're doing and being fully present in the moment and making the best of what it is that you're faced with. It's such a powerful thing.
Mhm.
I love the LSP designation, little spark plug. It's a thing. Let me ask you this. I think I know where the answer is going to be. I feel like the spoiler has already come out. But what do you see as the opportunity in the market today? When you look at real estate, when you look at the opportunities that are out there, where do you see that it is?
There are a ton of opportunities. I actually was talking to another agent who's also a team lead today, and she had forwarded me an email about rates. Everybody's worried about rates are so damn high. And she's like, what are your take on this? And I assume she's asking me like, what am I telling clients? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Rates are high compared to what they were a couple of years ago. They're almost double in a lot of cases. But when my parents bought their house in the late 80s, their interest rate was almost 19%. Rates do this. This is the nature of the rates. So what I tell my buyers, my investors, anybody that asks me is, you do the underwriting at the interest rate that you can get now. And if the deal still pencils out, then you still do the deal. Potentially in the future, there's an opportunity to, refi out of that rate or whatever, depending on your loan structure. And you can head that way and you can create immediate cash flow. But if you don't get into the game of real estate now, you're always waiting. You're always going to be waiting for like this gamble of like, I'm in Vegas and am I going to pull the thing and win the next time, or am I going to lose another $100 in the process? Like, that is real estate. So you kind of just need to know the metrics, do the underwriting, and get into the deal if it makes sense. Now, if it's fear, if it's not, you're using interest rates as a crutch because you didn't get in when the rates were low, and now you're using rates as a reason why, then you're probably never going to get in because that's fear-based. And what you really need to do is look inside yourself and say, why am I wanting to invest in the first place? What are my thoughts and feelings around that? And then you're going to reveal to yourself why you're actually not buying real estate, because there's something scaring you.
I think that the lack of understanding that when you buy real estate, you're buying the future, and it's your ability to quantify the future that is what's going to show you the true value. Because if you buy a piece of real estate today and sell it tomorrow, you're going to lose money because you have closing costs in the way in and closing costs in the way out. But that purchase of real estate over just about any 10-year period you ever pick is going to be a positive thing. In the type of market that we're in right now, where you're seeing higher inflation, real estate actually performs better, not worse. One of the things, seeing as you brought up the 80s, the 80s was the fallout from the inflation of the 70s. The real estate appreciation in the 1970s, that was the best appreciating decade that real estate has had in the entire century of the 20th century, was in the 1970s. Now, here's the thing. The total inflation was some of the worst inflation we had. Total inflation was about 103% from 1970 to 1980. So if you had $1 in 1970, it wouldn't buy 50 cents worth of stuff. The real estate appreciation that same period of time was 177.6%, which means the real estate and get this, in 1970, median home price, $17,000, interest rate 7.6%. By 1980, interest rate 16.63%, median home price 47.2. And that's where you're 177.6%. If you want to know why real estate has always had a reputation as a great hedge against inflation, it's because every single time there's been inflation, real estate has done better than it normally does. And so realistically, the interest rates that there are right now, I'm still getting in because I'm not using a 3.5% appreciation rate, because in an inflationary market, that's not how real estate tends to out appreciate that. The average appreciation for the 1972 to 1982, which was the high end, the beginning and the end, the 21% interest rates there at the end, was 9% annualized. If you're using 9% on a pro forma, well, guess what? Those 7% interest rates that you're borrowing at don't look so bad at all.
Yeah.
I did differential cash flow. I did an internal rate of return on one. Cash at a 5 cap. They bought a 5 cap, so nothing sexy. Figuring on just the numbers I said, it's a 14% annualized rate of return on the cash purchase, 21.9 if this market just behaves the same way that it did the last time we had the inflation hit. And so I think when you bring in that time component, as long as you're in residential, I feel like you're going to be okay. I mean, if there's a downturn in the economy, obviously some of the commercial products, other things can be adversely affected. Hotel can be maybe a little worse than normal, but as long as you're on the residential side, I mean, I think there's really a great case, because the thing that's working in your favor is the value of the money is going down, which means it's just going to need more of it constantly going forward. Rents are going to go higher because wages have been going higher. Like, all this stuff feeds together. And so I think it makes it for a really interesting thing. I just want you to know, when you're talking about pro forma, you're amongst your people here, where I'm on the same page with you. I love it. So what do you think is the most important thing you've learned in the process of doing what you do?
The biggest thing lately that I'm learning since I did quit, I did officially leave the golden handcuffs last year, 2022. The biggest thing I learned is that being an entrepreneur is effing hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard. It's a lot of work, and it seems like it's so glamorous, and it is. I mean, I guess it is, depending how you look at it, but it's just a lot of work.
It has a lot in common with a vacuum cleaner.
I mean, I'm just like, I have to worry about people's payroll now. I mean, that's like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, their kids depend upon you to eat. Yeah, no,
Right? I mean, yeah. So, I mean, that's been the biggest thing just lately, but I've learned so much. I mean, I had started a master's degree at the University of Southern California, like right when I started buying the properties to build this cabin portfolio that like launched my life, my passion in my life. So doing that tandem to growing these businesses was really helpful. I like really honed a lot of skills that I had from my, undergrad, like leadership, strategy, financial, metrics, just, it really leveled me up.
yeah.
So just, I don't know, but actually getting in there and doing the thing while learning the thing was really the biggest piece for me.
I hear you. I say to people all the time, when I used to own my restaurants and the dishwasher didn't show up, guess whose responsibility it was to do the dishes? You roll the
Yep.
sleeves up and you have to go do dishes. That's what the
Yep.
life of an entrepreneur is, because every single problem in the business is your problem.
Yeah.
There are none that are not. And
Yep.
so when you realize that, my big thing for people always is to understand what you're getting into, right? So I'd rather take and describe it to you and have it be worse than what it actually is. Because if I do that, then your expectations are, oh, it's going to be this bad. Oh, it was only this bad. Well, gee, that's way better than he was overselling it. But if I tell you it's going to be amazing, and then you get in there and it's hard, all of a sudden you're disappointed, frustrated, and even depressed. And so, I think that thing that what you just said about being an entrepreneur is hard. Yeah, guys, it is. You have to understand that the idea of business and life somehow being different, or work and life being separate. No, it's going to be in every part of you, every part of what you do. It just becomes, and that's okay for a while. It's okay to take and work hard like that for a while. But the idea of always is to live a good life, a full good life. And so you have those years of no vacations, no days off, banging your head against the wall. And then there's got to be time to take and put that balance in. It's the people that get out of balance that it really the tragic cases that they have the whole world, and they don't know how to enjoy it. So yeah, no, Leslie, been there, and it's okay. It's okay. It's good stuff. So I'm glad you're at that point. I started in business when I was very little, and my father is all the problems were always my problems, no matter what it seemed like. So I'm feeling you.
Yeah.
What do you think makes you passionate about what you do?
I don't know. There's something about cabins, particularly. I talk about this a lot, but it's just like this special place where you feel like you're removed from time. There's something, I mean, in everything I own and everything I'm working on, and I'm building in another market right now, something that's very similar, and it's all cabins still. So like that's the parallel through everything I do, and just something about it. Like, I think when I started buying them and realized it was highly lucrative, I saw dollar signs, right? So it was like thinking about money. But even when I was a young girl, and then even when I was in my 20s and I was traveling around the world, living carefree, I was largely like had this love affair with cabins. And so that's really, it's making me very passionate. And then the second thing, through all of this, I'm doing very well in what I'm doing. So I wanted to come up with an impact mission. And this impact mission obviously is going to have something to do with cabins, or else I wouldn't be as passionate about it. But I was very passionate about women's empowerment, getting more women invested in real estate. I get a lot of calls from men that want to buy cabins, and that's totally cool and fine, and I encourage that. But I'd like to see more women taking charge and taking the lead. So I've partnered with Forbes. I just wrote a piece for them. I'm speaking next week at a conference in Charlotte on the topic. I have another one in Austin, and then I'll be creating some content for Fox Business that'll air at some point, I think this summer or fall, about the impact mission that I've created and what's the problem and how do we fix it and why are more women not taking charge of building generational wealth. And so that's been this like great thing driving me forward, making me really passionate, particularly about, empowering, I'm going to say 1,000 women to become millionaires through the real estate investing vehicle. That's like my main thing right now that's driving me, that I'm passionate about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Little bit of a change of pace. What are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished?
You got all these tough questions and they're kind of similar.
A little bit.
In business that I've accomplished, I mean, I think being able to leave my job. So basically, when I think about from when I started to now, well, not to now, but when I quit banking, it only was 3 years. I only spent 3 years building this portfolio, and it grew to a size and had enough, throwing off enough cash for me to feel comfortable enough to quit my job and go launch these other businesses. So I'm pretty damn proud about that.
I don't blame you. How about in life in general?
Wow.
Looking back, got to take and say, you know what, these are the things.
Yeah.
You talk about empowerment. One of the most important parts of it being empowered is going back and giving yourself credit for the wins that you got. So what would be the thing in your life that you look back at and you're like, yep, I did that. That was me.
I mean, I've done an awful lot. Like I'm very ambitious and driven. I don't know entirely, like the whole body of work I'm very proud of. I come from very rural Northern California. I put myself through college.
There you go. That's a good one.
Like almost every dollar was mine, unless I had scholarships. And I'm proud of my like ability to lift others up. I think I always kind of saw like the underdog and wanted to always help the underdog.
Sure.
I know that's like a cliche answer to give right now, but it's kind of made me who I am, made me stand out. I'm a little different. I'm very outspoken, if you couldn't tell.
No, most people want to wear a bracelet and raise awareness. If you actually took and went out there and got your hands dirty and helped somebody, that's way different than what culture does today. So I applaud that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I don't have kids or else I'd be like, I'm
yeah. I got you. No, that is the cliche answer, right? Oh, my kids. Yeah. It's like, okay, no. Check the box.
I'm too selfish. They're not for me.
Yeah. I love it. I've always said the same thing. Yeah. Like,
I'm just like, I'm trying to earn master's degrees and build companies and become wealthy and quit my, I retired when I was 41. Yeah. So, there's no time for children there.
Everybody has to make choices, right? I mean, it's like, you can go on the cruise or you can fly to wherever. I'm the sicko that wants to do both. And I try to figure out ways to make them both happen. But
fly to the cruise.
Fly to the cruise. There you go.
Fly the cruise ship and kick everybody off. I don't like being around that many people.
You know what? I don't want to own the. It seems like a lot of maintenance and expense. I'll just get on. I love it. That for me, that's where it's at. Like 3 times a day, my bed gets made, and I have nothing to do with it.
3 times a day.
I wake up from a nap sometimes. I don't know what happened. The bed is made. I'm in the bed. There's a towel animal on my forehead, a little chocolate on my chin. That little guy that sneaks in and out and does I don't know how he does it. Man, bottle that. That is some good stuff.
That's those towel animals. They got you coming back, I think.
Oh, you know what? It's not even that I like the towel animals. It's just that I like when I vacation, like luxury cabin. Yeah, I'm all it. Like I will hike wherever you want to go as long as there's running water and like climate control at the end of the day. I'm not staying in a tent. I like nature, but I don't like nature like that. We're friends. We're not making out. Like it's not, our relationship is clearly defined, right? I go on vacation to live an easier life than my normal life, not a harder one. So yeah.
But let's get it clear. These cabins are luxury homes.
Oh, yeah,
Wi-Fi, running water, hot tubs, pool tables, beautiful, like these are very nice.
Yeah, no, I knew that, but I'm glad you clarified that for our listeners. So let me ask you this, Leslie. What one piece of advice would you give our listeners?
Take action. One really good tip on how to take action is figure out what the hell it is you want and then go hard for it. And how you go hard for it is you make an action plan. What's a realistic time frame in which you can achieve whatever it is that you want? Let's say it's 90 days and you're wanting to buy a property. Then you figure out, you count backwards, day 89, day 88, day 87. What are the daily micro actions that you need to take each and every day to get yourself accomplished at the end of 90 days? If you skip a day, then you're probably not going to hit the action plan. So it's literally something small every day. There's a good story that I like to tell, real short and sweet. You don't want to go to the gym. Most people hate going to the gym. I hate going to the gym. Just put your shoes on, get in your car, drive to the parking lot. Okay, you did it. That was day one. But typically, once you're there, you're in the parking lot, I might as well just go into the gym. All right, I'm just going to do 5 minutes on the treadmill. It's easy. I can just walk, right? You get on the treadmill, you're doing 5 minutes, you're watching Shark Tank on the screen.
Of course.
It's captivating. It's going to keep you watching. Kevin O'Leary, I mean,
Keeps my mind off of the fact of what's happening to me right now.
Before you know it, that you got that whole workout in, you're going to go back. You're going to keep doing it. So you got to get yourself into that habit, and you got to do it every day. But you do need to be clear and need to know what you want.
I love that, and I'm gonna tell you something that none of my listeners know because I've never said this before. But I can't say that Shark Tank is my go-to. I actually watch like the greatest hits of the voice auditions or America's like the singing auditions because I love music.
But I usually have subtitles, so.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and I have the headphones on, the music cranked up, so I can watch them sing and at the same time as listen, as opposed to just listening to one of my playlists. So yeah, that's my go-to. That's actually a good question.
I love it.
Add that to, what do you do to distract yourself during cardio? Tells you a lot about a person, probably.
Or diners, drive-ins, and dives with guys.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But then I'm hungry.
Yeah, sitting there learning how to get fatter while trying to not be fat is such a perfect combination of things to do while doing cardio. Like, look, just looking at that burger, I can feel the weight getting added. I mean, it's just amazing. No, it's some of the stuff they do. There was a place actually in Tampa that was that kind of a place where they'd like do these things that most people don't, like bacon soaked and maple syrup wrapped around a jalapeno stuffed with feta cheese.
Ew.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like the tilt light starts to go on. It's like, well, sweet and then spicy and then feta cheese. What's that gonna like? I don't know that my taste it came together well. Yeah, I didn't think so either. It was one of those things. It's like, oh, wow, didn't see that coming. Surprise. But all right, a little bit of a change of topic. What one book or movie would you recommend to the folks listening?
Or movie. I never got that before. I love the Goonies. I don't know why I would recommend that.
There we go, folks. The secret to success is binge watch the Goonies.
No, I usually recommend my go-to is Think and Grow Rich for Women. It's the rewrite of Napoleon Hill by Sharon Lecter. I met her in Arizona not too long ago, and she was really a big part of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki movement. She was on his team when he developed the book and the game. And she's done quite a few books, but this one particularly I like. So
cool.
Grab
Good
that.
stuff. All right, so you got a book and a movie, listeners. That's a two.
There you
go. Leslie, what's next for you? It seems like you got a lot of things in the fire, a lot of irons in the fire. What's next? What's the next big project?
Yeah. I am filming something in July for TV. That's very exciting. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it or not yet, but
leave the mystery by all means.
Oh yeah, it's basically like a documentary about short-term rentals in the Smoky Mountains. So it's very exciting. And then I have the Fox business thing in August. I'm getting ready to release my own book. It's
Congrats.
a massive playbook for short-term rental investing. It's basically like how I built my portfolio in 3 years.
Cool.
And I'm working on some other TV stuff. So lots of good, fun, exciting things. Not to mention all the women's stuff I already mentioned.
all that stuff. Just yeah. All right, good. Let me ask you this. What again? Topic change, so be ready.
Uh-oh.
And actually, one of the last two questions. What do you do to unwind?
Oh, geez. I mean, that's like people are like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, real estate. I like to sit on this couch.
Netflix is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I like to just, hang out with friends and have some downtime, grill up some meat and chill,
Okay. Now we can officially be friends. If meat is
Ribeye,
getting,
prime
oh,
rib or ribeye.
oh my goodness. Did you see the barbecue show that they have on Netflix, that barbecue competition? I just binge watched
Oh,
all 2 seasons back to back. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I got to find some of these folks and become friends with them because they can cook. That's what's
yeah,
nice about being in the Smoky Mountains. Barbecue is a thing there too.
yes, for sure.
Good stuff. Well, let me ask you this, Leslie. Last question. Where can people find you?
Yeah, my website is leslieann with an E Morris.com. And then Instagram, really from Instagram, you can get to everything. Well, from either. And the Instagram handle is at leslie.ann.morris.
Good stuff. Leslie, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with me, and just talking to my folks.
Yeah.
It was really a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Josh.
Ah, it's my pleasure. All right, folks, if you want to know the comprehensive on cabins, short-term rentals, and how to make it happen, you now have a go-to resource. Always trying to give you the best folks and having the best conversation. So Leslie is the person to talk to. Till next time, folks, hope to see you there.